Welcome to the Aquarius podcast, where we talk about astrology and emotional intelligence. The Taurus new moon, a supermoon, arrives on May 16th at 4:01 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, bringing with it grounded energy and encouraging us to become more aware. This is a time for new beginnings in our finances, self-worth, and long-term goals. Let's go over what we will feel under the Taurus new moon. This Taurus new supermoon is going to bring a quiet longing for stability. Our bodies want something solid to trust, to rely on, while another part of us senses that change is already happening, whether we want to face it or not. We might feel a deep need for safety, support, or understanding, especially in our relationships, along with a subtle fear that what we depend on could change or disappear. Taurus energy can make us more sensitive to rejection, inconsistencies, or emotional distance, even if nothing obvious has changed on the surface. We may feel restless, wanting honesty, wanting space, or a break from old patterns that no longer fit who we are in the here and now. This Taurus new moon can create inner tension, making us want closeness, but also feeling the urge to pull away. Unsure which feelings we should be trusting at this time. We might react quickly by holding on tighter, shutting down, or trying to control things when underneath it all is a fear of being vulnerable, of not having our needs met. The Taurus new supermoon helps us notice the controlling habits that we have that feel comfortable but keep us stuck. It lets us see these patterns with more compassion and understanding, showing us our emotional depth and our ability to grow, especially when we're willing to sit with discomfort and ask ourselves why we act the way we do. There is strength in noticing our reactions without judging them and in asking, what is this behavior trying to protect me from? You might ask yourself, what am I resisting right now? And notice where you're trying to keep things the same out of fear. Where are you projecting fear or desire? If you look to someone else for security, you are still learning to build that feeling within yourself. This is a time to be gentle with yourself, to recognize your needs without shame, okay? And to respond to your emotions instead of reacting to them. The deeper lesson of the Taurus moon is that real stability is not about everything staying the same. It's actually about trusting that we can stay present and grounded even when things change. If we meet ourselves with honesty and care, this time becomes less about emotional tension because we're resisting and more about quiet, meaningful growth. We may feel a strong urge to slow down, to simplify our lives, to focus on what matters most. This is not just about comfort, it is about stillness. Taurus is the most stable of all of the zodiac signs. This stillness is designed to help us notice ourselves more clearly. Do you feel safe in your body? Do you trust the timing of your life? Are you confusing comfort with growth or stability with avoidance? Taurus energy often looks for peace, but sometimes that peace becomes denial if we ignore what is changing. Ask yourself if you're holding on to what is familiar because the unknown feels unpredictable, scary, or hard to manage. This Taurus new moon is encouraging us to be honest about our real feelings and to pay attention to both our body and mind instead of letting fear run the show. The goal is to build a life that feels steady enough for change, not so controlled that change becomes frightening or overwhelming. This idea is simple, but I know it's not easy to do. You can feel uncertain and still stay grounded. You can want safety without staying stuck. You can respect your needs and desires without expecting others to meet them for you. This Taurus new moon is a great opportunity to reset your relationship with your self-esteem, to listen to your body's truth, to honor it, to be emotionally honest, and find the courage to let your sense of stability grow and change with your current reality. Now, let's move on to aspects associated with this Taurus new moon transit. This new moon is going to amplify our need for stability, for safety, for predictability and control, which can heighten our fear or our anxiety around change or loss. The moon and Jupiter working together can soften this tension by increasing our longing for safety, for nurturing, for care, for belonging, by showing us our ability to take care of ourselves, to connect with others in a safe way, as long as we do not overextend ourselves. Taurus energy asks that we stay grounded and that we respect our comforts. The new moon's connection with Uranus and its harmony with Pluto is revealing inner tension between comfort and change. This can make us feel restless, emotionally up and down, or suddenly we have deep insight about something that we've been struggling with for a while. This sudden clarity is to help us become more adaptable, help us find the courage to face deeper patterns in our relationships around control, attachment, power, and honesty. All relationships are rooted in self-love, and Taurus stands for self-love in astrology. If you do not love yourself, you cannot be in a loving partnership with anyone. With the square to the Pisces North Node, we're being gently encouraged to notice where we hold on to certainty or expect others to take care of uncomfortable things about ourselves that we're not ready to face. Growth comes from asking ourselves, how can I reframe this tension between change and stability? What does this tension teach me about my own emotional needs? The answer to those questions will shift us from reacting emotionally out of fear, which is really us trying to protect ourselves, to responding in a grounded way, in a proactive way, and in a conscious way. Responding is about choosing. Choice is how we empower ourselves. The shadow side of this Taurus new supermoon shows up as resistance, disguised as stability, where you tell yourself you're just being patient. You're just being grounded, when in reality, you're actually avoiding doing something new to change your life. You may cling to routines, relationships, or belief systems long after they've stopped supporting your needs, because the discomfort of letting go feels more threatening than staying stuck. Taurus energy doesn't always process feelings openly. It tends to hold on to them inside of their body. So instead of expressing fear or sadness, grief, or insecurity, Taurus might numb themselves out or overindulge or completely shut down. It's not unusual for them to also become quietly resentful. There's a refusal here with Taurus energy to move emotional energy through the body, which eventually turns into heaviness, stubbornness, or passive resistance. You might say, I'm fine, when you're really not fine. And over time, that disconnect builds. There's also control issues to watch out for. Taurus seeks safety in shadow. It tries to secure safety through predictability, through material possession, through emotional self-protection. That can translate into holding on too tightly, whether it's to people, to comfort zones, material stability, reacting strongly when that security feels threatened. Jealousy, territorial behavior, fear of losing can surface, especially if your sense of self-worth is tied to what you have or who you're connected to, but not to yourself. Remember, self-worth and self-esteem is about the relationship with the self. Relationally, the shadow side of Taurus energy can show up as emotional rigidity. They dig their heels in when they do not get their way. They struggle to adapt, to compromise, to hear perspective that challenge their reality. There's a tendency here to avoid, to forcefully resist, to avoid difficult conversations, to avoid change, to avoid progress, or to expect others to meet your needs without clearly expressing them. At the same time, Taurus energy can overgive in subtle ways, hoping that it creates security in the relationship. Inevitably, they feel unappreciated when it doesn't create that security because it didn't communicate their needs. Therefore, their needs were not met. At its core, the shadow of this new moon in Taurus is fear of change rooted in fear of instability. And that instability can be physical, emotional, or psychological. This Taurus new supermoon is asking you to confront where you equate stillness with safety, whether that stillness is keeping you from growth. The uncomfortable questions matter here, such as, what am I holding on to that I've outgrown? Where am I choosing comfort over truth? Where am I suppressing what I feel because I don't want to disturb the peace? True stability is not rigidity. True security is not dependency. Depending on everything staying the same is not the same thing as feeling stable. This new moon exposes where your version of safety may be limiting you so you can begin to build something more honest, more flexible, and ultimately more sustainable. Emotional intelligence means being aware, facing yourself honestly, and adjusting your emotions once you have clarity. For everyone, the main question is, where are you trying to create safety by controlling things instead of trusting yourself? This new moon is not here to support illusions. Taurus energy is about being real. This new moon is here to help us build something real, genuine, and stable. Moving on to some affirmations I created for all rising signs under this Taurus new moon. Aries rising, for you this falls in the second house. The confession is, I chase control through money, productivity, improving my worth, especially when I feel insecure. I don't always trust that I'm enough without constant output. The affirmation, I'm allowed to build value slowly. My worth isn't conditional in performance, and I can create stability without urgency. Taurus rising, for you this falls in the first house. The confession is, I resist change even when I know I've outgrown who I've been. I cling to identity patterns because it feels safe to me. The affirmation is, I can evolve without losing myself. Growth does not erase me. It shows me my true self. Gemini rising, for you this falls in the 12th house. The confession is, I avoid my deeper emotions by staying busy, distracted, or mentally stimulated. Silence makes me uncomfortable because it reveals too much. The affirmation, I can sit with myself without needing to escape. Rest and reflection are not a threat. They are my medicine. Cancer rising, for you this falls in the 11th house. I sometimes overattach to friendships or communities for validation, even when I don't fully feel aligned with them. The affirmation, I am allowed to choose connections that genuinely nourish my soul. Belonging doesn't require self-abandonment. Leo rising, for you this falls in the 10th house. The confession is, I measure my worth through success, recognition, and how others perceive me, and it exhausts me more than I am willing to admit. The affirmation, I can pursue ambition without losing my emotional center. I am more than what I achieve. Virgo rising, for you this falls in the 9th house. The confession is, I cling to being right or being certain because uncertainty makes me anxious. I struggle to trust what I cannot logically prove. The affirmation, I can expand without needing all the answers. Growth comes from curiosity, not control. Libra rising, for you this falls in the 8th house. The confession is, I fear emotional dependence, but also crave deep connection, which leads me to push and pull in intimacy. The affirmation, I can be vulnerable without losing my autonomy. True intimacy strengthens me, not weakens me. Scorpio rising, for you this falls in the 7th house. The confession is I project my fears and desires onto partners, expecting them to stabilize what I haven't stabilized within myself. The affirmation, I take responsibility for my emotional responses. I can create balanced, honest relationships. Sagittarius rising, for you this falls in the 6th house. The confession is I neglect my emotional and physical needs until burnout forces me to pay attention. The affirmation, I honor my body and routines as foundations for my freedom. Small, consistent care matters. Capricorn rising, for you this falls in the 5th house. The confession, I hold back joy, creativity, or vulnerability because it feels unproductive or risky, perhaps even embarrassing. The affirmation, I am allowed to feel, create, and enjoy without justification. Pleasure is part of my stability. Aquarius rising, for you this falls in the 4th house. The confession, I detach from my emotional roots or avoid family patterns instead of fully leaning in and processing them. The affirmation, I can face my inner world without losing my independence. Emotional honesty creates true grounding. Pisces rising, for you this falls in the 3rd house. The confession is I overthink, misinterpret, or soften my truth to avoid conflict or discomfort in communication. The affirmation, I can speak clearly and directly. My voice deserves space, and honesty builds stronger connections. Here's a grounding exercise I'm hoping will be helpful to all of us. Under this Taurus new supermoon, this Taurus new moon is not here to support our illusions or fantasies. It is here to help us build something real. Emotional regulation for the Taurus new moon starts with the body. Taurus represents the body in astrology. If the body doesn't feel safe, the mind won't cooperate. Taurus is embodiment within. So the most effective way to regulate for Taurus is to restore the body to its natural sensory stability. So it has to be physical before it can be emotional. So what we're going to need to do is ground our body, feel our feelings, name our feelings, and choose how we want to move forward. The important thing here is to gently open ourselves up to emotional awareness, okay? So start with grounding the body in something tangible. Sit somewhere comfortable. As an astrology coach, I prefer it when earth sign dominant people, and I'm speaking specifically to people who have Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn at Mars. I prefer it when these folks, or also at the sun, moon, and rising, as those are the dominant planets at the top, or at the 10th house. I prefer it when you guys sit on the floor, sit on the ground, because you guys are earthy. You guys are craving stability in everything that you do. Connecting with the earth is deeply energizing for you, okay? Once you're somewhere comfortable, place one hand on your chest and one on your belly, okay? I want you to really feel your feet on the ground. For some of you, that may be the first time that you really, truly allow yourself to take in the entire sensory expression of that exercise. Slow your breathing. Earth is not about being dramatic. It's about being calm, being stable within. So slow down your breathing just enough to feel your body settle. Invite your body to peace and stability, just like the earth underneath you. If possible, hold something real and textured. As I'm recording this podcast, I have one of my fuzzy blankets on my lap, and it feels really good to have something soft that you can touch, whether it's a stone, a mug, something that makes you feel cozy. Taurus energy responds more to the sensory system because Taurus rules the sensory system in astrology. Touch, what you hear, what you feel, what you smell. You can even burn some incense. Just create a scene where your body can feel settled, okay? And where your sensory system can be integrated into comfort. Taurus does not deal very well with what's abstract, what's not tangible. Taurus is very practical. So it's all about the things that the body can physically experience. Once your body feels relaxed, move to feeling. Feeling is not about judging. It's not about analyzing, it's about noticing. So, where is the tension that you're feeling? Where is it inside of your body? How does it feel? Does it feel like tightness? Does it feel like heat? Does it feel heavy? How does it feel? Taurus energy holds things in until they build up. So, this step is really about letting the emotions exist without trying to fix it right away. You might feel some resistance to this exercise, and it's normal because Taurus, underdeveloped, prefers to hide their feelings than to face them. Remember, Taurus is a sister of Scorpio, they do have some similarities. Once you are willing to go on that journey of getting curious about what it is you're feeling, I want you to name what's underneath that experience for you. Don't focus on the story like, oh, they did this and they did that and it's unfair and that's messed up. What I want you to get to is deeper than that. What is underneath what you're feeling? What is the core emotion? Are you feeling angry? Are you feeling like you were abandoned? Are you feeling disappointed? Are you feeling like you were yearning for something and you were shut down? Are you feeling insecurity? Are you feeling fear? What do you feel? Be direct with yourself. Nobody needs to know any of this, but you need to know what's going on with you. Okay? Taurus energy feels more stable when things are clear and when things have a name. Taurus does not deal very well with what's vague, what's confusing. Lastly, after naming the emotion, I want you to choose your response on purpose. This is where the power comes from. Power comes from choice. So ask yourself, what would make me feel supported right now? Not just comforted, but truly supported. The answer to that could be a nap, resting, or it could be I need to set a boundary, or it could be I need to have a conversation about my expectations, or it could be I need to do nothing at all and just sit with this until clarity comes to me. The important thing is that your response comes after the awareness, not from your impulse. The impulse is being emotionally reactive because something got triggered, and now we feel like we have to blow back what we felt. And what emotional intelligence is asking of us is to actually trust ourselves to feel what we felt, to examine what we felt, to understand what's underneath what we felt, and to choose how we're going to respond to what we felt. You can anchor this with two useful prompts. What am I resisting right now? And number two, am I trying to control this feeling rather than understand it? The main idea here is that emotional safety for Taurus is not about avoiding discomfort. Avoiding discomfort makes your emotional world more messy and complicated. If there's one thing I could impart to you, that would be it. Your strength comes from embodying your emotions in a way that empowers you. It's about building enough steadiness within so that the discomfort is no longer a threat. It's something you experience and release because you have a solution for it. This tool, I'm hoping, helps you practice grounding yourself when you have big feelings, giving yourself permission to feel your feelings, finding the courage to analyze them so you can accurately name your feelings, and then choosing how you want to respond after you've given yourself some time to fully process the experience through your body. Taurus responds really well to somatic exercises because, again, for Taurus, everything happens inside the body. Keeping feelings trapped inside your body without giving them a chance to be released do not help your relationship with your self-esteem or with others. This is about empowerment by reclaiming your emotional self. Let's end this Taurus Supermoon podcast episode in a more honest place. First, this Taurus new moon may be showing you where you've been holding on just to feel safe, even when it's quietly hurting you to stay trapped. But there's something deeply compassionate in being willing to see that without turning away. There's nothing wrong with having needs and desires and yearning for them. I want you to give yourself permission to be that kind of person that allows themselves to feel. Number two, when you ask yourself, what am I resisting or where am I projecting fear or desire? try to stay with the answer a few seconds longer than usual because the truth underneath is usually a lot softer, a lot more vulnerable, and a lot more human than the reactions that Taurus typically likes to lead with. They like to lead with control, dominance, purpose. When we're dealing with fears and insecurities, we have to put the ego on the back burner and get inside the heart. I'll leave you with this. You don't have to rush to fix yourself or fix your life right now. If you can meet yourself in an honest place emotionally, and if you can give yourself the grace, a little room for a little bit more patience, for a little more honesty, and a little bit less judgment, then you're already on the right track. You're already creating the kind of emotional safety and stability that you've been searching for in others. I look forward to connecting with you on May 31st for the full moon in Sagittarius. You can book your astrology reading at intuitivehealing.com. You can also watch videos at Intuitive Healing here on YouTube for Astrology 101 content. Listen to the Aquarius podcast on Spotify, as well as here on YouTube for your horoscope. If you're interested in astrology and love connections, you can visit at Styled Under Libra. And of course, for health and wellness and holistic healing, visit at Styled Under Virgo for all of your astrology content. Thanks so much for watching.